A river keeps flowing, and then half of it doesn't. Not slows down, not splashes, it straight up disappears, like a rock just swallowed it alive. In another place, people are talking, walking, living normally, and suddenly they collapse and fall asleep. And somewhere in a dry field, the ground wears perfect circles, so clean, so evenly spaced, it looks measured, designed, on purpose. And the truth? The truth gets even stranger. Because the internet loves one sentence: science has failed. But the real story isn't about winning or losing. It's about something more dangerous. The moment a claim gets repeated so many times, it starts to feel like proof. Now listen, in many places, the mystery doesn't end, it just changes shape.
Sometimes mystery is actually misunderstanding. Sometimes it's genuinely disputed, where experts clash and the evidence refuses to sit on one side. And sometimes it's unclear, not because nobody looked, but because reality refuses to hand over a clean, satisfying answer. 4 places, 4 viral claims, and 4 very different endings. Some stories turn out to be exaggeration. Some stay controversial because the proof won't settle. And some remain unsettled because the world doesn't owe us a simple explanation. These stories go viral for one reason. They break the brain's rules. A river should keep flowing. Sleep should arrive on schedule. Lights in the sky should have a reason. Grass should grow randomly, not in geometry. And then each place gets branded by a dramatic line. Water disappears. Lights patrol the night. This town is cursed with sleep. Someone made these circles. But here's the real danger. Not the mystery itself.
The danger is when the label becomes louder than the facts. And now, here comes the turn. One famous unsolved mystery wasn't broken by magic. It was broken by measurement. Just numbers. Just a flow meter. This story begins in the United States. Brule River and a waterfall called Devil's Kettle. A scene so dramatic your brain instantly says, that can't be real. The water splits in 2. One half flows down like normal, and the other half drops into a hole, and it looks like the earth eats it. Standing there, you hear it. Foam snapping, water hammering rocks, and then that final moment where the flow vanishes. People lost their minds. They poured dye. They tossed ping pong balls. They dropped small objects. And the same line came back again and again. Nothing returns. So it must be going somewhere hidden. An underground tunnel. A secret route. Another world. And the claim sticks because it's visual.
You're watching water disappear with your own eyes. But here's the problem. Rivers don't run on stories. Rivers run on math. If half the river is truly disappearing, then downstream flow should be lower. Simple, clean, no debate. And this is exactly where the story cracks. When hydrologists measured the flow, the numbers refused to believe in a portal. The Minnesota Department of Natural Resources concluded that the water that falls into the kettle shows up again farther downstream and rejoins the river. Meaning, the water doesn't vanish from the earth, it returns. So now the question hits harder. If the water comes back, why don't the dye, the balls, the objects come back where we can see them? And this is where the mystery doesn't end. The truth just becomes more brutal. Under that waterfall is chaos, turbulence, foam, debris, deep traps. Small objects get swallowed into that mess in ways that don't stay visible. They can snag, break, get pressed down, get hidden, and from your point of view, it looks like gone forever. Quick recap. The river isn't disappearing. Your eyes are being tricked by violent, messy physics. And the moment Devil's Kettle starts to collapse as an unsolved mystery, a bigger question appears. If one famous unexplained story can be officially explained, how many other mysteries are surviving only because the dramatic version travels faster than the real one? Now the second case, and this one gets more dangerous because it's not just a story people repeat, it's something people swear they've seen. Norway's Hessdalen Valley. For decades, locals have said the same thing. Strange lights appear in the night sky. Sometimes they hover, sometimes they move, sometimes they change color, like something silent is patrolling the darkness. And this didn't stay as just rumors. There was a serious effort, Project Hessdalen. Machines, cameras, instrumented observations, data. This is not a case where you can say nobody studied it. This is a case where people studied it and still one clean answer didn't come out. And that's exactly why it goes viral. Because when something stays disputed for decades, the internet quickly turns it supernatural. But unexplained doesn't mean unexplainable. Now a question starts echoing in your head. If there's data, why isn't there one solid cause? Are we missing something? Or is reality not a straight line the way we want it to be? Now, the third case, and the internet loves this line. Italy, near Casorzo. A tree that grows two different fruits. It sounds like nature broke its own rules, but the truth is more interesting and more logical. What usually happens is this: a mulberry tree, and on it, or alongside it, a cherry tree grows. So it's not really one tree, two fruits, it's two trees, one body. And that single difference changes the entire story. It's not a miracle, it's rare but possible. A seed gets stuck up there, it sprouts, it grows, and somehow it survives, finding a way down, staying alive as it shares the same structure. So yes, there's still something fascinating here, but the frame was wrong. You saw something real, and the label made it magical. And labels are powerful. Because the wrong label doesn't just confuse people, it rewrites reality into a fairy tale. Now the fourth case, and this one isn't romantic. It's terrifying. A settlement in Kazakhstan where people suddenly fell asleep, sometimes for hours, sometimes for long periods, along with weakness, confusion, and it wasn't one person. It became a community-wide problem. Picture it: village streets, quiet air, and then a person sitting, and their head drops, and they collapse into sleep. Here, even the word mystery feels scary, because here, the price is human. Then authorities spoke up with a possible explanation: carbon monoxide and other gases, possibly connected to an abandoned mine, air quality, low oxygen conditions. And keep this phrase in your mind: reported official position. This isn't a fairy tale, but not every detail is wide open either. What's generally stated is that toxic exposure was the main cause, but some specifics, when, how, why it hit harder at certain times, remained unclear in the public narrative. And that's the hard truth of this story. Sometimes a curse is actually poison, and poison can be so quiet that fear gives it a supernatural name. Now the final place, where even the ground itself seems to accuse the world. This was made by someone. Namibia's dry grasslands, fairy circles, empty round patches, even spacing, like a designer laid them out. The air is hot, the grass edges look stressed, and in the middle, a clean, bare circle, like the earth decided nothing grows here. This phenomenon is real. It's confirmed. It's been studied. But the war is over the cause. One side says termites, cutting roots, shaping patterns over time. Another side says self-organization,
plants competing for water, forming a pattern naturally. And both sides agree on one thing: nature can look like design, even when the reason is completely natural. So now, let's read the reality scoreboard. No hype, just facts. Devil's Kettle. Confirmed. Water doesn't vanish, it rejoins downstream. Hestel and lights. Confirmed. Data exists. Disputed. No single agreed cause. Casorzo two-fruit tree. Confirmed. Usually two trees sharing one structure, not magic. Kalachi sleeping. Most likely/reported toxic gases and air quality, but some details unclear publicly. Fairy circles. Disputed. Termite theory versus self-organization. Debate continues. And the real lesson is simple, but it's heavy. Science gave up is often a lie. The truth is usually one of these. Either it was measured, or it was framed wrong, or it's genuinely disputed, where honest people still disagree. Now, listen to the questions that are more dangerous than clickbait because they sharpen your vision. If the water returns at Devil's Kettle, why do small objects so often feel gone? In Hestelin, what conditions make the lights increase, and why do they fade at other times?
In Kalachi, what exact exposure pattern pushed people into sudden sleep? In Casorzo-type double trees, when do they survive, and when do they fail? And in fairy circles, could termites be the truth in some regions and self-organization in others? And the biggest question of all, how many of the internet's mysteries are still alive only because they never got the correct label? These places aren't just weird, they put reality on trial. And that's why the moment people see them, they whisper, "This is impossible." But the most dangerous thing about our world is this: sometimes what looks impossible is completely natural. If you want part 2 with more places like this, write part 2 in the comments.